And now, it is my unpleasant duty to report to you that former airline pilot, conspiracy theorist, and guest of Coast to Coast AM, and therefore family member of Coast to Coast AM. Hold on for this one if you haven't heard the story. It is alleged that he shot dead his 2 teenage children and his dog before turning the gun on himself. That would be Captain Philip Marshall. This would be last week. The time hasn't been pinned down. I'm trying to talk to as many people who will talk to me, and there are not many of them, but there are some. The Mail Online out of the UK had this, and I quote from this publication. A pilot who wrote a conspiracy theory book about 9/11 is dead after he shot his 2 teenage children and family dog before turning the gun on himself. Now, of course, to allege is to declare without proof. And if I've ever heard an allegation, that's what this would be. Friends and relatives of Philip Marshall were stunned by the violent crime which took place in Calaveras County on Saturday. Bodies discovered when friends of the teens went to the family home and looked through the windows. They could see 54-year-old Philip Marshall lying on the floor in a pool of blood. Now, I'm looking at pictures of Philip and his 14-year-old daughter and 17-year-old son. They don't look traumatized, weirded out, or unhappy in any way, shape, or form. They look quite normal. They really do. No big dark circles under the eyes, nothing to suggest that we're posing for the photograph, but we actually live in hell. There's none of that. Tragedy came as a shock for those living in the small town. But, and it's really sweet how the schools and even the rival school and the sports teams have said, hey, one family, 2 schools, 1 family. And they're supporting everybody who is left. And I tell you, our hearts and condolences and prayers and tears go out and are shed for those of Philip Marshall's family and his friends and the friends of those kids. Being a Missouri-born Texan, the first thing that grabs me about this is who shoots their dog. Now, this is a little graphic, but seriously, single shot to each. The boy, the girl, the dog, and the man. Now, here comes the smut. Well, he may have had a violent criminal past. Well, no. Well, he's been trying to adjust his medication for bipolar disorder. Really? That is some wild speculation. So what do you do when you get a situation like this? Well, if you're a suspicious Missouri-born Texan like myself, you go, the first thing that you do is you discredit as much as you can. And I mean, what I just read in Mail Online here is, those are statements. Doesn't even say allegedly. Says he did it. But Philip Marshall wrote in a statement last year, quote, think about this. The official version about some ghost being bin Laden in some cave on the other side of the world defeating our entire military establishment on U.S. soil is absolutely preposterous. Here's some more. The true reason the attack was successful, we're talking about 9/11 here, is because of an inside military stand-down and a coordinated training operation that prepared the hijackers to fly heavy commercial airliners. We have dozens of FBI documents to prove, he used the word prove, that this flight training was conducted in California, Florida, and Arizona in the 18 months leading up to the attack. Now, Amazon says this about Philip Marshall, a veteran airline captain and former government special activities contract pilot. We're talking ammo to the Contras back in the day and even part of the crew that took down Pablo Escobar, big drug lord down there. He's authored 3 books on Top Secret America, a group presently conducting business in the United States intelligence community. Marshall has studied and written 30 years worth of covert government special activities, studied and written, and the revolving door of Wall Street tricksters, media moguls, and their well-funded politicians. He is the leading aviation expert on the September 11th attack. Now, maybe it's just me, but I'm thinking maybe what he was writing about and talking about had more to do with what's happened here than adjusting his medication. I mean, bipolar disorder is not something that just comes on people. And I think probably something like this might have been recognized at some point during his spectacular flying career. So I don't know how close we can get to this, but we're going to get as close as we can. And I will, out of a sense of loyalty, I'm a person who is loyal many times beyond the point where any further loyalty is due. I do not trust easily. Trust is something that is earned. It doesn't just automatically come with a handshake or a smile. So I'll stay on this. We will stay on this. The Coast family will stay on this. And if anything worth repeating is brought to the surface, then we'll bring it to your attention. Philip Marshall. Miss you already.